Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, the topic is why the rivalry between the Clippers and the Lakers just really got more intense. So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and be sure to hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. That's a little bell. Also, be sure to check out our Dreamerspro Podcast, which is linked in the description below. So make sure you check that out. So let's just get into this topic here. Now, as you know, free agency has been a whirlwind, and the NBA season is fastly approaching. For those of you guys that may be unaware, training camp is supposed to start next week, which is December 1st, and we're shooting this video on the 23rd of November, so it all depends really on when you see this video. However, that's when training camp is supposed to start, so teams are sort of scrambling to make their last, their moves before the season opens up, and then obviously teams will be making moves throughout the season and by the trading deadline next March, I believe it is. I'm not sure, or February. I'm not sure when it is. So let's just address this rivalry between these two teams. So let's first of all look at the moves that both teams are able to make and the players that they lost and they gained. So let's start off with the Lakers. The Lakers lost a multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year in Dwight Howard, who was really integral for their run in the playoffs this year, especially against the Denver Nuggets when they had to play against Nikola Jokic. But that was his main defensive assignment. Dwight Howard went out there, got you a lot of got you shot blocking, rebounding, ran the floor pretty well, got a lot of putbacks, and just added a defensive edge to the team that they really benefited from. He got more minutes than JaVale McGee, so he was he gave him a lot of good minutes. So they lost Dwight Howard. They lost Avery Bradley. Now, Avery Bradley was probably is their best defensive perimeter player. However, they lost him, but guess what? He wasn't even there. He didn't even come to the bubble, so his impact was not felt on that playoff run. So I think the Lakers are they pretty much just said, okay, hey man, to hell with you. You didn't even come anyway. So they got rid of him. But also he had his own personal reasons because he had a child that he didn't want to put at risk. So he didn't show up and they lost him. A major loss, however, is the loss of Rajon Rondo. Anyone who watched the Lakers run in the finals, in the playoffs, in the finals, we all know that Rajon Rondo was one of the difference makers for the Lakers. There's no two ways about it. He pretty much helped LeBron James run that offense. He had a lot of timely plays. He's a very, very cerebral basketball player. He knows the right spot. He knows how to put people in positions to win. He got a lot of deflections. And he really was a difference maker for the Lakers. So they lost him, and I think that's going to be a blow. But I think he went out there and accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. So he went to the Atlanta Hawks. And the same thing, I think, with Dwight Howard. No, Dwight Howard went to, I think it was the Philadelphia 76ers. That's where he went to. They also lost Danny Green. Danny Green came under a lot of scrutiny for some of the way that he was playing in the playoffs last year. He missed the shot to win the game. Snoop Dogg and all these people were putting out comments about him. So they lost him, and they also lost JaVale McGee. To be fair, JaVale McGee didn't get much run during the playoffs anyway. So those are the players that they lost. I think the biggest loss for them is going to be Rajon Rondo and Dwight Howard. Now let's see who they got. They got Montrezl Harrell, which was a shocker to all of us. And if you haven't seen the video, we did the video where we spoke about how Montrezl Harrell pretty much just betrayed the Clippers, and the video got so much backlash, so much, it was so polarizing. If you guys have not seen that video, we're going to link it at the end of this video here and also link in the description below so you guys can definitely go check that out and hear my rant on that move. Now, they got a very good defensive player who I think is even better than JaVale McGee, who's very smart, and I think really he's meant to replace Dwight Howard. They got Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol is a championship player. He was very, very integral to the run that the Raptors had 2 years ago. So I think that's a fantastic pickup. And also, he's a brother of the former, probably Hall of Famer that played with Kobe Bryant, the late and great Kobe Bryant, Pau Gasol. So they got him. They got Dennis Schroeder, who's going to be a great point guard. He's supposed to be replacing Rajon Rondo, so they got someone to replace him. We have to wait and see how that works out. And they got Wesley Matthews, who's essentially there to replace Avery Bradley. So Rob Pelinka and the Lakers front office have been making some fantastic offseason moves. Being objective, they made great moves, and they essentially replaced every single player that they lost. I think the biggest difference maker is going to be Rajon Rondo, and we got to see the impact that Dennis Schroeder makes, or Schroeder, I hope I'm pronouncing his name properly. So those are the offseason moves that the Lakers were able to make, and I got to give him an A because they did a good job. Now let's look at the Clippers. The Clippers lost Montrezl Harrell, as I just mentioned. So they lost him. They lost JaMychal Green, which is a player that I really, really liked for them. Great energy guy, could stretch the floor, play great defense, knew his role very well. He had an edge to him. I really like JaMychal Green. I think I'm lamenting the fact that they lost him. They lost Rodney McGruder. I hope I'm saying these people's names right. He didn't get to play as much, though. He didn't get as many minutes. So, I don't know if that really hurt them as much. And they lost Landry Shamet. Now, Landry Shamet, he got a lot of run with the Clippers, but a lot of the times it just seemed like he was off the mark. It seemed like he really couldn't connect from the 3-point line. He was getting a lot of good looks, but most of the time he just couldn't really convert on his attempts. So those are the players that they lost. Looking at who they picked up, as I said before, and I'm gonna say it in this episode here, one of the major pain points for the Clippers was a defensive big. They had two, a point guard and a defensive big. They were able to certainly solidify that position by picking up Serge Ibaka, who was a former NBA champion, a high IQ basketball player, legitimate 7-footer that's a shot blocker, also is known by Serge Ibaka. So I think he's a very, very, very good acquisition, and I think he's just what the doctor ordered. I think given the fact that he also has chemistry with Kawhi Leonard when they won that championship, is going to go a long way. At least he can look down the huddle and see someone in the foxhole, and see someone that he knows that has been in the trenches with him, someone that he can depend on to really kick the shot out to him, to stretch the floor and hit those shots. So Serge Ibaka is a fantastic A+ pickup for them. They kept Marcus Morris, which is a player that I wanted them to keep anyway. He's a very versatile player, knows how to play the wings very well. He can play a great man-to-man defense. He's a 40% three-point shooter. He brings an edge to the team. Again, it's something that I really like. Now, they picked up Luke Kennard, who was formerly playing with the Detroit Pistons. Now, Luke Kennard last season, for those of you guys who know, I actually had to go look at some tape on him. Excuse me, talking pretty fast here. So he averaged 15.8 points a game for the Detroit Pistons last season. He got you 3.5 rebounds, which is good. 4.1 assists, which I really like. Showed that he could be a playmaker. He shot 89% from the free throw line and shot 40% from the three. So it looks on paper that they got an upgrade from Landry Shamet. Is yet to see. We got to see how he plays, how he meshes with the team, and all of these different things. So we have to see how that kind of works out. And they got Jonathan Motley, who I don't know much about, but I'm definitely going to look into him. But personally, I think this rivalry, at least in the off season, has been a battle between the front offices. It's like, who can outdo the next person, pretty much. That's pretty much what it's been. Montrezl Harrell walked and went to the Lakers. The Clippers responded by getting Serge Ibaka, and then the Lakers responded by getting Marc Gasol. And I think it's been a back and forth between Rob Pelinka and Loris Frank, who's the president of basketball operations for the Clippers out there. I think it's really, these two teams are looking at each other. These are the top two teams in the Western Conference last season, and I think they're just trying to outdo each other. Clearly, both of these teams are positioning themselves. Lakers want to repeat, and the Clippers want to get some payback on the Lakers, especially for what Montrezl Harrell did. I think the rivalry is going to be alive and well, especially with Montrezl Harrell deciding to go with the Clippers, given the fact that, the Lakers, given the fact that, Kawhi Leonard's trainer came out and said last season that the double agent referring to Montrezl Harrell, so there must have been something going on there. So I think it's going to be, I think the rivalry is definitely heating up. To be fair, the championship still goes through the Lakers because they won the title. That's the way it always works. The title goes through the champs until the champs are knocked off. So for the Clippers to win the championship, they must beat the Lakers because they're the reigning champions. That's just how it works. I think it's going to be the main storyline of the league. Obviously, Kevin Durant coming back with Kyrie Irving is also going to be a storyline. Seeing if they're able to get James Harden, that's also maybe a storyline. But for me, I think this is going to be the main one in the season, and I think that rivalry is going to be more intense. It's going to be more exciting. And quite frankly, I hope that we see a matchup between them on Christmas Day. This is just my hope. So what I want to know from you guys is, what do you think about this rivalry? Do you think it's heating up? Obviously, Lakers fans are going to say it's not a rivalry. Clippers fans are going to say you better believe it is. So whatever you guys think, Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, be sure to check out the video we did on Montrezl Harrell with him deciding to go play with the Lakers. We're going to link that in the end of this video here, so make sure you check that out. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro. Wish you guys an amazing day. Peace.